Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. I'm Jason Rubin, and this is Doug Newman from Accuscore.com. Accuscore.com is pretty damn good at picking NFL games, college football games, anything really in the sports betting world. You guys, I know, compete with some of the other ESPN stats and info guys who are up there, and I know you guys are atop the pack, are usually finishing in a very high percentile of those competitions. So first, Doug, could you tell us a little bit about Accuscore.com and how you come about making these picks?
So what our model does is we import the box scores of every game, every sport on a daily basis.
Okay.
So any player with a stat line, any game, that's going to be imported, that's going to be archived for later use. So what our algorithm does is it's going to put a little more emphasis on more of the newer data. So the theory there is that as players mature, they get a little older and they're in the league more.
They get better.
They get better. That data is a little more meaningful than when they're rookies. So it kind of just smooths out the curve of a player's season and career stats.
And that obviously has a drastic effect because there's definitely certain aspects of a player's development as he gets better in the league, whether it be from, I guess, a college football player from freshman to even sophomore year or junior year, like that of Amari Cooper, wide receiver from Alabama, who finished third in the Heisman Trophy voting.
Absolutely.
So you look at that and how he becomes better, and you can even see it with Marcus Mariota in Oregon. Many of these players that get better over the time in college football and NFL. That's nice to see that you guys take that into account. You account for that. Because one of the things I find frustrating, at least with sports betting, is when you get these picks and you see these picks being made and these algorithms that there's no understanding of how they work. So it's just like, well, this place says there's a 58% chance they're going to win, but you don't have an understanding of it. So this is great that you're at least explaining how this works and how it's going to drastically affect how you guys should be picking for the college football games.
Well, yeah, without getting into too many of the secrets, but
right.
We have between putting more emphasis on specific data, we throw in all kinds of other elements such as location, home versus away,
right.
Grass versus turf, dome versus open, air. I mean, all of these are factored into player performances, and they affect the game.
And you said this is based off historical from the last 10, 15, 20
About
years?
10 years, yeah.
So not going back to 1940 with the leather helmets?
No, and that's pretty irrelevant because, once players drop out of the league, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't have
College, of course, is a shorter time frame than
right.
professional sports.
Right. So one of these bowl games that we are looking forward to that has a great matchup is the Michigan State versus Baylor game, where, according to Accuscore, we got Michigan State with a 52.3% chance of winning.
We, the computer, after 10,000 simulations, really is looking at projecting a really close game here. We've got a slight edge going to Michigan State. It's, the slightest of slightest edges. But, as the line has shifted now from the open of about 1 to 2.5, it's now sitting around 3 as of last night. So, for a game this close and with Michigan even, considered a small favorite in terms of the computer rankings, we definitely like Michigan State there.
All right. I like that pick. I'm not a Michigan State fan. I'm a Wisconsin Badger fan, but I'm a Big Ten football fan. So now moving on over to the Chick-Fil-A Peach Bowl, where TCU is favored just every so slightly to 66.6%. Is that a lock?
Well,
I mean, you can never say it's a lock. It's sports. Anything can happen on any given Saturday. College football. But that's a drastic imbalance.
It seems that way. It's definitely a little bit skewed from what the Vegas line is representing.
Right.
And the Vegas line, of course, represents public perception as well, and they want even action on both sides of the coin. But the computer really likes TCU in this situation, in this spot. Factoring in all the elements and playing on a neutral site. Using, here, this game is at the Georgia Dome, so that's where the Atlanta Falcons play. It really thinks that TCU has a stronger edge than Vegas is insinuating. It's obviously going to be a great game. I think the public perception a lot here is that, well, TCU and maybe Baylor also isn't going to be, get up for this game.
Right.
They're so disappointed that they didn't get in the playoff four that, they won't actually
it's just a little bit
rally and
to come back and play strong. Well, at least TCU, that's going to make Andy Dalton proud. A Horned Frog alumni for the Cincinnati Bengals. Not too far. Maybe you'll go and see it over in Atlanta. And lastly, we have Notre Dame versus LSU, who, now, these are two historic college football programs. And it doesn't matter what Notre Dame is playing, people will watch. And also, people will bet on it. And speaking of even Notre Dame news that crosses over in the NFL, Jimmy Clausen's starting for the Chicago Bears this weekend, a Notre Dame alum. So what numbers do we got for Notre Dame? And it looks like LSU is favored.
Yep.
Also, not by that TCU major imbalance, or at least it comes off that way. Why are the Tigers so far?
Well, Vegas has given them about a touchdown favorite. Line opened a little bit higher, around 7.5. You know, some early money came in on Notre Dame, got it down to a touchdown. You know, if you look at end of year, you know, obviously Notre Dame is just in a downward spiral. Right. I mean, they lost, I think, their last 5 games after starting the season 6-1. Yes. Very disappointing for them. Their last game versus USC, they pretty much got blown out. You know, their #1 quarterback, Everett Golson, you know, he was banged up. He didn't finish the game. They brought in Malik Zaire. He did okay, nothing really to write home about. It seems like that.
They're a banged up team. We know this. And we also know that Notre Dame kind of gets into a bowl no matter what. So LSU's the way to go in this one?
You know, that would be the common logic, and I think that's where the public is really going to think.
Yeah.
You know, the head-scratching pick of the day, I think, here is that the computer likes Notre Dame to cover. We don't like them to win the game. You know, we still have LSU, you know, handedly winning. It's just not going to be by a full touchdown. So, you know, we see maybe a field goal game, a 3-point difference here.
Everybody wants to see a close game, even though it's going to all give us heart attacks when it comes down to some of these spreads. So, Doug, thank you very much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Plus, you can check out Accuscore.com at Accuscore.com. That's going to be all in the description box below. Make sure to check it out. You get some great picks, great advice, and more in-depth detail about how to make your college football picks for the bowl season this year.